Hello, happy Thursday to you all out there. My name's Simon, and this is Simon's Trading Channel. I'm going to do a roughly 10 minutes Bitcoin price action analysis, which hopefully you'll find entertaining and maybe a bit useful as well. Anyway, before we get into it, quick disclaimer this isn't financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. Please don't interpret it as such. Okay, let's get into the juicy stuff. This is a weekly on Bitcoin. And as you can see, it's been going sideways for the last 8 weeks. Extremely dull on the higher time frames. It's not surprising when you look at where the prices have been going sideways. When you go back in time, there's been a lot of price action around that area. And so indecision within the market was prevalent back here, and therefore it's not unexpected for indecision within the market to be present around the same level here. So weekly trading at the moment, probably not the most exciting. So far, there's two kind of useful wicks, if you like, to give you an idea of an overall range currently. And they are quite obviously just over 49,000 and just on pretty much 38.3. Those are clearly not accurate. It just be different on every exchange, and I've put them there roughly. Okay, so yeah, within the last 8 weeks, all the price action has been between those two lines. That's effectively what I'm saying there, and that's on a weekly time frame. If we zoom down to the daily time frame, you can see it's pretty much the same. The daily time frame has really only done two things effectively in the last 8 weeks, and that is a general uptrend with higher lows and higher highs up to this candle, and then a general downtrend with lower highs and lower lows, bringing in the current range low. And then it's kind of done a little move up to the midpoint of that down move there. So you can kind of stick another line in if you should so choose, probably in the middle, roughly speaking, here. So you just end up with three lines, one on the bottom, one in the middle, and one on the top. And the reason for these that I find is kind of useful is that they are logical areas to look at with regards to either trend reversal or trend change or ranges. So it just brings a bit of rationality to what otherwise would seem like a load of random candles on a chart. If we come down to the daily, sorry, that was the daily. If we come down to a 4 hourly, you can see that in more recent times, so particularly since the rejection of the high coming down and then to where the current low is, that's not the macro low. No. It's the current low on the medium time frames, I would say. So you can see that with just a little bit of tweaking to that middle line, it nicely borders off the top of what you could describe as this range, and the bottom of that same range can just tweak a little bit to here. They're not absolute lines, and if you take them absolutely, that's absolutely wrong. But when I say it's wrong, it's up to you where you put your lines. But I like to just have just a couple in there just to bring a bit more rationality to the chart. Coming down to the hourly, which I must confess is probably my favorite time frame, you can see that the bottom section of the overall range, and remember, I drew the top and the lower lines on the weekly time frame. And now we're down to the hourly, but it nicely brings in all of this price action that's going back to, can't see, my head's in the way. Whoa! To Friday, the 12th of January, which is just pretty much 3 weeks. So 3 weeks of what is on the weekly sideways price action. Put my teeth back in, but very tradable on the lower time frames. So, for example, the hourly. I can only speak for myself because you can't speak for anyone else. No one can speak for anyone else. We are all individuals, and we all do what we like in this life, as precious as it is. I don't want to get philosophical, but if anyone likes a bit of philosophy, particularly ancient Greek, I'm your man. Leave comments down below, and we'll talk about it. So the way I would then look at this lower time frame section is to again probably just put in one more line. Don't want too many lines on the chart. No, thank you very much. This one at the moment is slightly redundant because it's quite far away from current price. So I'm focusing in now on the lower time frames. So this is price action that's going to potentially happen over a few days, right? This is useless if you've got a much longer time horizon where you might be trading, but you've got that bit more of an investment head on. So maybe you're buying and selling rather than longing and shorting the market. And so what I would personally do in this situation, I'm happy with the top of the range there. I'm happy with the bottom of the range there. So then to get some sort of midpoint, it's always useful to have a midpoint. Come over, pick up a line. Maybe I have a slightly different color one. And just to me, a logical area. And again, there's no rules for this. This is subjective. And so I try and just do it in a logical way. But it's completely subjective. You can put lines any way you want on the chart. That's entirely up to you. Just remember, the lines that you've put on there, and that's all they are. Price action is going to ignore them. If they're logical, then there'll be a reflection of the price action that's recently occurred. But they're no predictor of the future, and nothing is. And that's worth bearing in mind if you are interested in trading, that no one can predict the future, despite what they tell you, despite what they claim. The future is an unknown. But applying some logic to the past can give you a steer on what may happen in the future. So I would just put a little trend line in here. I thought I was going to be a horizontal line, but it's not. And I think you can see why I put it in roughly there. It's just a logical line. I like to call them lines of randomness because you can stick one anywhere. You can stick one right across here now, watch. Line of randomness. Line of randomness. But I'm not going to put that one in there. So there we are. So I got a kind of range high, roughly a range mid, and a range low. And then you can, I shouldn't say what you should do because that's entirely up to you. But then what I like to do is just look to see what price action's doing, and then just make a logical decision. So, for example, I don't want this video to be too long because I did promise you it'd be less than 10 minutes. For now, it appears that Bitcoin is in a very short term downtrend. And it appears that this up section here was broken pretty much, when was that, on Wednesday? So yesterday, early hours. All the cool guys do this sort of stuff, right? I am not a cool guy. I'll never be a cool guy. I have no intention of being a cool guy, but the cool guys do that stuff there. All it does is it just picks out the highs and the lows. Well, you can see the highs and the lows. And by definition, this section was higher highs and higher lows. So it's an uptrend. It seemed to break down roughly here, and it's looking for confirmation at the moment with a bit of indecision and sideways movement, probably until the American markets open up later on today for me, but they're probably still asleep. And so it would look like we might be about to put in some, I say we, Bitcoin. I'm not Bitcoin. Why am I saying we? It looks like Bitcoin might be about to start to put in some lower lows with, if a trend is to become more obvious, some lower highs. It's not that obvious yet, which is why the range would seem to be the logical approach. But, that sort of thing is, could well come to fruition. So I've got a short term down, a short term, what would you say, slant towards more downside. And that takes nothing away from the very clear long-term uptrend that Bitcoin is currently in. I'm doing a daily Bitcoin analysis, so we'll come back to it today. But effectively, for more upside today, Bitcoin's got to start closing at least hourlies, probably more like 4 hourlies, above roughly this line, but somewhere around the 43,700 mark. And for more clear downside, it would have to be below roughly 41, just call it 41.5. Those are not absolute numbers and they shouldn't be thought of as such. And you're talking about hourly, at least probably 4 hourly closures. Otherwise, it's going to be just range bound between those two figures. And we'll come back to it tomorrow. That was 13 minutes. Sorry to go on for so long. I hope you found this of some value. Please leave some comments below. If you thought it was rubbish, tell me it was rubbish. If you thought it was good, tell me it was good. And if you could like and subscribe, that would make my day. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.